That's basically the song. Because it had water and Africa in it. This is the perfect song.
Oh, I see what you did there. This is
You
the
asked me if
Southside
I
of
had. You
Wakanda
asked me if I had
podcast.
a song, and that was the first song that came to mind. How freaking dope am I?
Very, very much. So this is the best podcast in the multiverse. I am Princess Nuck if you buck.
I can tell you what they don't call me. They don't call me General or King. They call me Kul Kul Khan, the feather serpent god.
Why is your accent so good though?
Because I've been saying it all week.
Oh my god.
I feel like Forrest Whitaker and Winston Duke are the most like impressionable, not impressionable, but like the best characters from the Black Panther franchise to impression.
I feel like that is accurate because when the
Like
first one came out, everybody was
the
like
strength
stripped
of the Black Panther will be stripped away.
away. Away. Everybody was saying it. Yeah, it pretty much. If anybody said anything from the movie, it was something that he said or something Mbaku said.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, would you look at that? Okay, so back to the intro of the podcast, guys. Hi, we are
Hi.
back. I know that there might be a lot of new listeners because we've been posting on social media. So if you're new here, hello, welcome.
I'm
This is a
Shani. That's my real name.
right. My
That
real name is
long
Brittany.
sentence is not my real name. Some might be confused.
So this is a podcast for the fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, emphasis on cinematic, meaning we discuss the Marvel live action movies and TV shows without the context of the comic books, because you do not have to read them in order to understand movies, because that's how that
Guys,
works.
yeah,
Um,
like how I was just thinking about this. There are so many movies and TV shows
uh-huh.
that were either adapted by books or comic books
Almost
or
all of them,
they're
actually.
yeah, there's not really any new ideas under the sun when it comes to like entertainment. So it's
Hmm.
like if you had to see the original thing or the source material in order to in order to understand the story, then the writers and directors aren't very good at their jobs.
Nobody would watch a movie. You would not
No,
watch anything. How many
exactly.
things would you have watched if you had to read a book or a comic book in order to understand it? How many things?
I always usually once find out, I usually like watch like read it afterwards.
Yeah. I
And
would
then
say it's
too,
about five things that I have like read the book first and then watched the movie. About
mhm,
five things in my life. And I
that
bet
sounds accurate.
yeah, and I feel like most people are like that. So I don't understand like why it's this big conversation. But
And
uh
then too, like real world events, like things that are based off of a true story.
yeah.
Like if you had to be a fucking historical scholar in order to enjoy like Dunkirk or something, like
Right. If you had to pass high school history, which I know a lot of motherfuckers didn't.
because they barely passed high school, period.
Hello. So I just listen. Welcome everybody. If you're like us and you've only seen the movies, or if you aren't like us, you've seen the comics, you've seen the movies, but you don't like gatekeeping, welcome. You are welcome here.
Hello, hello.
So this week we're going to be discussing Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. But before we get into that, we got a lot of MCU news to talk about this week.
Nice.
Um, so a couple things I'm going to talk about happened, I think, last week. We haven't recorded in like 2 or 3 weeks. Because
Since Halloween.
yeah, so our normal listeners know that we are kind of on a hiatus for various reasons, but we're going to come back to do like the movies and the specials. So since our last episode, we have learned that Aubrey Plaza is going to be a villain in Agatha Coven of Chaos.
I love her so much.
I didn't know that everybody loved her so much, and I was so happy for y'all, but I was so confused because everybody was losing their
Girl.
shit that day.
The show she's on the show that I'm gonna talk about later in our later segment,
Mm,
and everything that I see her in, I love just because she has this very offbeat personality
Hmm.
and she's very dry.
Those cold,
Like,
dead eyes.
yes, like, and she's just so funny in the way that she delivers like her lines, or even when she's doing interviews and stuff like that. Just the
Hmm.
way that she delivers it makes it even more funny. So I stand
Yeah.
her. I stand her little white passing Puerto Rican self.
Oh, is she? That's cute.
Everything that I've seen her in, she always plays a Latina, but she's always like white passing because
Hmm.
she is white passing. So I'm actually not sure if she's Puerto Rican in real life,
Hmm.
but
That's
yeah.
interesting. I know that she's in the Legion TV show that was on
Mm-hmm.
Hulu, which is also a Marvel property, but not MCU. For those of us who have a hard time
I
understanding that.
started watching that, but never finished it.
Yeah, Prince told me it's like really like everybody says it's like phenomenal, and I meant to get to it. It's just it's on my list.
I was watching it with my ex. That's how long that show was. Like
Yes,
how long ago that was. And then I just kind of stopped. I think he finished it, but I just was like,
yeah,
I got busy or something. I don't know. I saw a squirrel.
right. Well, she's gonna be on that show, and I haven't heard anything else. I just know that she's gonna be in it. She's gonna be a villain, and I feel like I heard a rumor that what's it called was gonna be in it too. Amy Poehler, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I would love that too.
Yeah. So more on Disney Plus shows. So two things that are connected. Vision is getting his own Disney Plus show. It's
I
currently
saw
in
that.
production. And the head writer from WandaVision is also going to be writing and doing that. The plot is unclear, but essentially we're gonna just assume that it's following White Vision and what the fuck he's been up to since
Right,
WandaVision.
because his ass disappeared.
Yeah, they was talking about a boat and planks of wood, and then he just flew off. So
Yeah.
there's a story
That was
there.
like the most unsatisfying part of the movie. I mean, of that show. Because I was just like,
Okay.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like about to be 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
they just never went back to it.
I wanted like it probably was supposed to be different. Like so okay, I think I tagged you in this TikTok.
I was actually just thinking about that.
Yeah, a couple of weeks or a week
That
ago.
was the other day.
There's no sense of time happening in my brain, obviously.
Honestly, same.
It could have been 2 months ago, 2 days ago, 2 hours ago.
I
Who
really think
knows?
it was like 2 days ago.
Well, there's this girl, and she was saying that the original release date order or viewing order for Phase 4 is way different than what we got, and it probably would have affected the way that people consume the content as far as like the timeline. So I cannot
hmm
remember when WandaVision was supposed to come out. I know that it was not first.
It was
So
after, I want to say it was Black Wanda. Black Widow. Then uh the black guy and the white guy. Falcon and the Winter
Falcon and the
Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, those are both my men, so I don't know why I just
The
forgot
black
that.
man and the white one.
Exactly. Baby brain
Wow.
is heavy in effect. Okay, so I think it was supposed to be Black Widow, then the Black Man. Just kidding. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then I think it was supposed to be WandaVision. I think it was supposed to be like
Yeah.
boots on the ground, then getting into like the more mystical
Yeah. And
sci-fi
in her video,
stuff.
she did point out the fact that she feels like a lot of people underplayed Falcon and the Winter Soldier because it came after WandaVision. And
hmm
I definitely agree with that. So,
I agree, but I feel like, well, I guess at the time when it first came out, I thought that WandaVision was the better show. But
mhm.
after rewatching, it is very clear to me that
Yeah.
WandaVision, I don't know,
Yeah.
it doesn't hold to me.
I feel like it had the same effect of releasing Captain Marvel right before Endgame.
Mhm.
Like, of course, it's gonna pale in comparison to all this magical space weird ass shit, you know?
Exactly. But I always love like the boots on the ground stuff. So when we get that,
Hmm.
I'm not ever disappointed.
Yeah. I feel like people forget about the boots on the ground stories and that used to be most of the MCU.
And they used to kind of be the best part.
Yeah. Yeah. Look how much everybody loved Winter Soldier and Civil War and Iron Man.
Girl,
Like,
I was watching Winter Soldier at work. that was like my work show for the week because I've checked out mentally.
I feel
Sorry,
that.
sorry if you work with me and you listening to this. I have mentally checked out. I have 6 more weeks, and
Yeah.
honestly, if I show up,
Uh-huh.
don't be mad that I'm watching a fucking movie.
Man. I used to watch TV at work all the time. Like I needed noise. Like if it was a day when I didn't have a podcast like to listen to, I'm watching Grey's Anatomy at my desk. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I usually watch a show that I don't really have to pay close attention to, but the fact
Yeah.
that I put on Winter Soldier, I don't know. I feel like that speaks volumes because that's like my favorite
Yeah.
movie.
It's a lot of things that you gonna want to watch. Like them action scenes, you not
And I was into it. I was
right. So, okay, so back to the White Vision. So the show is right now is being called Vision Quest, which is the title of a comic book that's centered around Vision and the West Coast Avengers, whoever those people are. It's a
we'll
comic
cross
book.
that bridge when we get to it.
We will cross that bridge when we get there. I just want to make a real quick tangent right on that subject because in our most recent TikTok, a lot of people were commenting saying that we should read the comic books, of course. But one of the comments that I want to talk about in this situation is like, well, if you read the comic books, it gives you context and it lets you know like what things are coming up. I simply don't want to know.
Right.
I don't want to know what's coming up until it's time for me to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay
even,
with not knowing.
Exactly. And even like when we do watch new content, I mean, for the new people that are here, usually if it's a new show or, even when we were, doing our rewatch of the first 3 phases, we would research like the characters and the villains and all of that stuff from the comic books. But as far as like when it comes to the new content, I don't look any of that stuff up until after I've already seen it.
And then I think one thing that we've both learned from doing this research before we, talk about a show is that half of the time, anything that happened in the comics is not going to happen in that TV show anyway.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter.
And it's just like it's so many different like continuities and
universes,
realities and all of that stuff. So it's just like this is very much more streamlined than the comic books.
Yeah.
If we had to go through all the thousands and thousands of comic books in order to give this podcast, neither one of us would have time. Okay, no. Brittany got 2 kids and a husband and a freaking giant dog. Mm-hmm. I have a child on the way, and I'm in school, and I work full time. Like we didn't got time for all that shit.
No.
Like,
so I'm gonna watch the TV show because that's what they want me. That's what Kevin Feige want me to do. Kevin Feige never told me to go read a comic book, so that's not what
Kevin
I'm gonna
Feige,
do.
our Lord and Savior, said that we ain't gotta read the comic books. And sure also, y'all, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but the actors and actresses that play in movies do not be reading the source material. Nope. Don't know if this is a shocker or not. There have been plenty of times when different actors and actresses have said like, no, I've never watched the show. Game of Thrones. I've never read the books.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the previous seasons. They come in fresh, completely as a blank slate, and that's how we approach things too. Yeah. Because if it's good enough for the actors that play the characters, I feel like it should be good enough for us. And we're just podcasting about the characters.
Yeah. I feel like that's fine. So if anybody out there wants to know what may or may not happen in the Vision show, you can go read Vision Quest. It's probably a bunch of volumes, and I'm sure you can find that shit on Amazon. So good luck.
Somewhere.
So in connection to this, there's gonna be a WonderMan TV show. Now, when they told me that, I was like, who the fuck is WonderMan? And so
who that is?
I went and I picked up my handy dandy Marvel encyclopedia that my baby mama bought me.
That's real cute. Whoever got you that must like really love you.
It's my baby mama got me this. And that's what I be looking at when I do feel a little bit curious. But so, okay, let me tell you why this is connected. So apparently in some of them comic books, WonderMan is who Vision's personality was like based off of, because he's a fucking robot. Mm-hmm. And so The stories changed. It's multiple different ones, and also I'm probably scrambling this shit up in my brain. So don't quote me on this. But what I remember from reading it is that like he was in love with Wanda. WonderMan was in love with Wanda, and
Ooh,
then
spicy.
like Vision died, and it was a way to bring him back. And Wanda was like, "Can we use your personality again?" And he was just like, "Bitch, I'm right here." But he let her do it anyway because he loved that bitch. So
Imagine.
that's right. So because of that, they're thinking that it might be some crossover. Something's going on with that since they are connected so much in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that has me the most excited is that Yahya Abdul-Mateen is going to be Wonder Man.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Our Lord and Savior Kevin Feige heard our prayers.
Oh my god.
He said, "I'm gonna give y'all want Yahya? Y'all got Yahya."
Y'all do not know that man does something to me. He is so fine.
Yes, he is.
Even when he was blue, he was fine.
Well, blue, bald, and weird, and still fine.
Girl, I just keep on thinking about that one scene. You know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Brittany, look at my hands. You know what scene.
Oh my god. Oh, if y'all don't know, then we are uploading our videos to Spotify today, hopefully. So
yeah, no.
if you want to see what Shani just did, turn on your video on Spotify.
Or YouTube.
or just imagine. If you've seen Watchmen, you probably know. It was for the girls. It was for the girls. So, okay. So that's all exciting. Both of those shows are currently in production. So not filming, but in development and production and all that. So, okay, so we got two things that are like kind of unconfirmed. And you know we don't really deal with rumors except for rumors about people that we really like. So, a couple weeks ago, which was probably last week, there was a leak that Jon Bernthal is coming back.
I saw that.
Our man is coming back. So, okay.
No. Wait. I need to scoot my mic back.
Oh my god!
That is also something that I've started to do in my I be by myself. New bit. Wait.
Oh god! I cannot wait until we can watch The Punisher season 3 because I know he's gonna do it again, and I'm ready. I'm ready to see it. I love it. Oh god. So,
oh my goodness, I'm crying.
I don't really remember all the context of this, but he was kicking it with some actor named Casey O'Keefe. They was probably doing something. They took a picture and Mr. O'Keefe posted it on Facebook, and in the comment or the caption, he was, praising Jon Bernthal, calling him a tremendous actor, and then he wrote, "Looking forward to working with you during Marvel Phase 5. So
I love that for us.
It was like a soft leak a couple months ago when Rosario Dawson was like, "Oh, I can't wait to work with him," but then she tried to take it back. Mm-hmm. It looking like he coming back, y'all.
I really feel like they giving them permission to do this because it's too often.
Yeah. This one, it's hard. It's hard trying to hold water. So I don't know. So I'm excited about that. And then the last thingamabob, let's talk about. So recently, producer Amy Pascal spoke with Fandango, and she kind of confirmed that the Sony partnership with Marvel is going to keep going for a couple more years, and that they are actually working on a new Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland. Mm-hmm.
That would be so interesting.
It's still in the early phases, but
I'm really looking forward to seeing Tom Holland again.
I really want to see what happens afterwards. I think I'm really about to be interested in his Spider-Man now because he done been through some shit now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little dark.
He killed the boy and let the man be born.
Ooh, look at her.
I know. I wish I could claim that. That wasn't even on me.
So no contracts or anything have been worked out, so they still have a long way to go, but they're talking about it, and so it's looking fucking hopeful. I'm happy. I'm excited.
Love that.
And that is pretty much all I have for the news, I believe. now, normally we do a discussion topic, but we're just gonna jump into talking about Black Panther because this is gonna be a long episode anyway, so
Yes.
might as well. Um, let's talk about the production. That's usually where we start.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, for production, I didn't really go too deep into like, how all of this became made because it is a sequel. So like most of the cast is returning. We only got a couple new people. Tanok Huerta, did I say his name right?
That is not the question for me.
Okay, I think it is
I
Tanok.
don't know.
He's Namor. Then we got Maybell Cadena. Sorry, girl. Namora. We got Dominique Thorne as Ruby Williams, and we got Michaela Cole as Anika. Obviously, it's like way more people because there was a lot of people in the movie, but most of the cast from the first Black Panther came back, and then other recurring characters like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, her long ass name. I'm not gonna remember it until the Thunderbolts movie come out.
Something
Sorry.
DeFontaine.
Yeah,
Val DeFontaine.
that one. She was in it.
Contessa. I don't think it's Contessa. Is that in there?
Valentina
Contessa
Versace.
DeFontaine. Dolce Gabbana.
That's definitely her name now. Calling her Dolce Gabbana. So they were all back. So that's pretty much it. I know that from watching a lot of Ryan Coogler interviews, because I've become recently obsessed with that man. He said that, he wrote the script. They pretty much already knew what they were going to do with it for a long time. The script was mostly done, I believe he said, before Chadwick passed. And one of their last conversations was he was asking him, like, do you want me to send over the script or whatever? And, shortly thereafter, he did pass. So the only thing that really needed to be changed, like, I think Namor and, like, this whole, like, the plot line was always going to be there. They just had, Chadwick and T'Challa in it, and then they had to change out that part, change up a couple things. So, when asked about, like, his inspiration for this movie, or, like, what movies and TV shows inspired him, he said Fargo Season 2, which I've heard great things about Fargo.
I love Fargo.
Really? I've heard that it's so good.
It.
I need to watch it.
I want to say that Martin Freeman was in Fargo Season 2.
Really? Probably.
I want to say that Season 2 of Fargo, because every season it has a different cast.
Oh, it's so I love shows like that.
The third season was really not that great to me, but the first two seasons were so good.
Well, he specifically said season 2, so I don't know what the plot of that has to do with anything, but he also cited Terminator 2 because he said that was an action movie about a mom, trying to protect her children. Contact, which is that alien movie with Jodie Foster, and he said that's pretty much the aspect of a scientist questioning her faith is what he wanted to draw from for Shuri in this movie. He said the Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
I could see it.
I can definitely see the Battle of Helm's Deep all up and through.
Yeah.
That made me really excited. Then he said he thought about Jurassic Park for scale and philosophy, and also for like how to shoot large animals because they were shooting them fucking whales and all of that stuff. And then he said pretty much all like the 90s James Cameron movies. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to watch movies with Ryan Coogler because I love all of these.
He probably like views movies completely different.
Yes.
From a director standpoint, he probably doesn't consume media the same way that we do.
Yeah, he probably looks at it like a text. And I just that makes my little nerd heart very fucking excited. That I will deep dive into some shit. I've been like watching documentaries about movies. I mean, I've always done that, but recently really, really heavy.
Yeah. Brittany's a cinephile. I don't know if y'all know that or not.
I'm trying to be. Like, one of my goals is really to be like a cinema geek. Like, one of those. Actually. Yes.
Love that for us.
Okay, so another thing I want to talk about in relation to Ryan Coogler is his care with handling the Mexican culture. I know that you're probably gonna like dive into the history of Atlantis and Namor and all of them. But just to briefly tell people, if you didn't know, Namor and them was not like Mayan Mexican in the comic books, which is another reason why it doesn't fucking matter if you read the comic books, because the director is going to take creative liberties.
Exactly.
More on that later. So, in order to make things like more inclusive, to give things a little bit more seasoning and flavor, he decided to, you know, infuse it with that Mexican culture. I was listening to a lot of like Mexican people and Latin creators, and all of them are so fucking hype. And they've been talking about like the actual Talocan, which is I'm just gonna read this here because I don't want to fuck this up. It's described in several Aztec codices as a paradise ruled over by a rain deity and his consort. I don't know how to pronounce either one of them names, and out of respect, I am not going to attempt to do it. So basically, it absorbed those who died during drownings or lightnings or as a consequence of diseases associated with the rain deity. So I just think that is so fucking cool. And you know, like we've had conversations about this before. The whole like ancient aliens thing, like this science fiction. I'm gonna just use this to explain some shit that actually happened. It just makes history so much juicier to me. I love it.
Makes it more interesting.
Yes. So, you know, he made all of these choices to like show the people with melanin while they're in the water and like use like see their culture, see Mayan culture, the artifacts, the art, all of that. He did not have to do that. And he chose to, and I thought that was really fucking dope. Some guy named Ignatius Donnelly wrote this book called Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. I probably said that wrong too, sorry. So it's a pseudo-archaeological book that was published in the 1800s. And basically he considered Plato's account of what Atlantis is to be largely factual. And he believed that all ancient civilizations were descendants from Atlantis. And that's why he believed that the Mayan culture was so far advanced, because they came from Atlanteans.
What was I watching? I was watching something. Oh, I was listening to Bailey Sarian.
Oh.
And she had, it was like an episode on like the Bermuda Triangle or something. And she was talking about Atlantis and all that stuff. And how how Plato, he was so detailed about it that people just like started believing it.
Yeah, that shit is wild. This is I don't want to offend nobody, but me and Prince had a very interesting conversation about the Bible, and that reminded me of that. So
yes,
yeah, we 100%. Don't have to talk about that though.
That's an off mic conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was dope. I loved how he used dark-skinned Mexican people to fight, against that colorism. That's the same thing that he did with the first Black Panther movie, was to mostly include dark-skinned Black women. So Ryan Coogler, he know what the fuck he doing. Like that's my cousin. Shout out to him. And then the last thing I want to say about him is how he handled the passing of the passing of Chadwick in this movie. So I watched a YouTube video, an interview that he did with Black Tree TV. And when he was asked about how he processed the pain both on and off the screen when he worked on this movie, since it was pretty much the most pain-filled project that he had to work on since he did Fruitvale Station. And he said, to be honest, I don't know. It's an interesting parallel you make, and it's very different. And he said that, not only was he a younger man when he did Fruitvale Station, so it didn't affect him as much, but he also said that there was more distance because that was a person that he didn't know personally, right. And he knew Chadwick. So he said there was no distance basically because him and Chadwick came to know each other through Black Panther. That's why they had a relationship, and he came to consider him as a brother. And he said, in terms of passing, I'm still processing it. I'm still doing it. We were still doing it while filming the movie, but it felt right the whole time. It felt like what he wanted us all to do.
And I love that. You can honestly feel it throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously a lot of people use art or, you know, their craft as a way to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell, you can just feel the emotion throughout this movie. And
Yeah.
that they basically use this as a way to, like, kind of come to terms with what happened.
Yeah, it really was. I feel like this is an excellent exercise in grief. And like in the movie, they talk about grief and processing grief in extreme detail. And I feel like making this movie was that for them. And which is why, like, I know, like, it's still a lot of toxic people. I saw an idiot on Facebook like a week ago saying, like, do you think they should have recast T'Challa before the movie had even came out?
Right.
And I feel like I'm gonna just say this: if you were not connected to Chadwick and this character like that, like really past the level of you just watch him on a TV screen, that's fine. That is okay. But you have to also respect other people. You have to respect the people who knew that man. You have to respect his family. And I feel like it's such a weird moment in time when, in any other case, had they just like discarded him immediately, like announced a recasting a month after his passing, or fucking 2 weeks, because you
That
see
would
like
have
how
been,
savage people are. So that
yeah,
could
that
have
would have
been the
been super,
case.
that would have been super inconsiderate.
It would have been. And I feel
It's,
like had that happened, people would have been mad. Like, oh, look how they just throw away black actors. They just used him to get a check. And as soon as he died, they just threw him away. But when they didn't do that, they actually did the right thing, the decent thing, and treated him like a human being and not a fucking check. People
and
are
not a
mad.
character. Like, he's not
Yeah.
just a character, he was the actor. And we've talked about this before, like, he meant a lot to the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
And, you
Most
know,
of us.
Black Panther meant a lot to a lot of Black people. So, and not only that, it's not like he just played it in Black Panther and that was it. Like, he played Black Panther 7 times, 5.
Something like that.
He was in Black Panther, Infinity War,
Civil War.
Civil War, Endgame, and then I think what, like, two or
What
three
if?
episodes of What If.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously, if you don't consume Marvel content like that, you wouldn't know that. But it would have been extremely disrespectful to someone that wanted to play, that loved the character and wanted to play the character as many times as he could before he
Mm-hmm.
died. Because,
Yeah.
and he knew, y'all, he knew in 2016 that he was dying.
Yeah.
And the movie, obviously, he shot all of this
Yeah.
while he was dying.
Yeah.
And he knew he was dying, so he wanted to, like, basically, like, give the world this character
Mm-hmm.
before he passed on. That would have been so disrespectful to him and his memory to just be like, we'll just recast. Like, you can't recast somebody like that. He is, it's like nobody else in Chicago is ever going to be number 23. You got to retire that jersey. He is never, like, no one can ever play that part. I don't think that as long as Marvel is a thing, I don't think that they'll ever make that character again. Honestly.
And I mean, if they do in like another 10 to 20 years or so,
30.
30, I forgot 30 because we'll still be on this same continuity in another 10 years.
Exactly.
But like if they did it eventually, you know, fine. So my grandkids can have another T'Challa, okay. But
it has to be a completely different generation.
Yeah.
The millennials got to be gone. Y'all can
the person
do
will be
whatever
constantly
you want then.
compared to Chadwick, and it's not fair. But I'm just happy. I know other people aren't there. They wanted him to be recast. I would say go talk to your nearest mental health professional so they can help you move on, because he's not going to be recast. It's over. Can we stop talking about it? But also, I'm really happy because obviously we didn't know Chadwick. And obviously T'Challa is a fictional character, but I really felt like I went to the surface. I was at the funeral. I feel like I went to the funeral and I had an obituary and I was fanning myself. That's how I felt. And I'm just grateful that they allowed me to have that, because I don't normally be crying and shit. Y'all, people who know me know that. But I felt really connected to this person and just weeping, okay? In the theater,
really?
just weeping. I was crying. I was so upset.
I did
when
not cry.
when I found out he
Ain't that
actually
crazy?
died, no, that is ridiculous. Who are you? I don't know who
Not
this
only
person
am
is
I
right
I
now.
am already a crybaby, but I
Oh
literally
yeah,
cry like every single day.
and you pregnant, so I don't know how you made it through.
I felt the emotion welling, but they actually never fell.
Man, no, I was crying. I was already having a fucked up day that day anyway, so it didn't help. But
Yeah.
I cried, and then when they did like the moment of silence, and they showed all of his pictures
Mm-hmm.
when they was doing the intro
The
card.
but in the beginning and then at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the movie too, they did it again, and I was just like, I love the way that they handled that. And it
Yes.
was so silent, and like
Mm-hmm.
usually in moments like that in other movies, I feel like they would have added some type of score, some like
Yeah.
heart-wrenching music in it, and
Yeah.
I love the choice of them to just be like, let's just sit in this silence, let's honor this
Mm-hmm.
man for a couple
I
of
was not
seconds.
expecting it. I wasn't
Me
expecting it to be
either. I
silent
was
like
like,
that. I was in the theater. I was like, oh. I
no.
had to cover my mouth because I was like, oh, I wanted to say, oh my god. It was,
No, and you could literally hear like a pin drop.
yes,
Full theater, you could hear a pin drop. It was in the title card and at the end.
yeah.
And
I
I
just,
will say, obviously, this I'm not gonna say exactly what
mm-hmm,
happened in the movie at this point, but
mm-hmm.
the way that they handled not recasting, but
The way they handled everything was just perfect. I
I
honestly have
agree.
no notes as far as how they handled the character passing and Chadwick in the movie. I have no notes. It's
Yeah, I don't think that they could have done a better job.
no. Let's talk just a non spoiler reaction and review. Loved it. Go see it.
Same. I will say, y'all, I am 8 months pregnant. By the end of the movie, I was like, I really need this movie to be over.
It is long. Isn't it like 2 hours and 40, almost 3 hours long? Something like that.
I don't know, girl, but it felt so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sat through long movies,
Mm-hmm.
not while pregnant though. And I was so uncomfortable. Like, because if I sit in the same position for too long, like
Mm-hmm.
my hips start hurting,
Mm-hmm.
the baby is like on my bladder. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
thirsty, but do I want to go pee? No.
Yeah.
But even if I didn't drink anything, then it was like,
Still thirsty. I mean, still
do
gotta
I
pee.
have to do I have to pee, or is that just the baby? Like I was done.
Yeah. I actually had to pee pretty bad. I usually don't. Actually, it's crazy because my husband pees in movies like a pregnant lady, and he didn't. So I don't know how he made it. But by the end, I was holding my pee too. So
So was my boyfriend. He was
yeah.
just like he actually ended up holding it until like the credits.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I
We had to
was
get up out of there at the end of the credits. We was like, okay, if it's another one,
I
we'll see you
always
later.
yeah, exactly. That we did the same thing. That's really funny. I always actually like after the first credit scene, I always Google
Mm-hmm.
to see if there's a second one because I'm like if I'm not about to fucking sit here
Mm-mm.
for y'all to play me.
No. Yeah, we
And it
always do.
said
At the end of the movie, we'd be typing in the dark.
but I did love it. I
Mm-hmm.
did love it. It was one thing that I wasn't too keen on the last like battle between like the Wakandans and the
Mm-hmm.
Talokans. Um, didn't really love that. I liked the battle scene. I liked the fight scene between Namor. Oh, that's a spoiler. But I liked the fight scene, not the battle scene.
Got you.
That's really like my only
I get you.
critique. If you can even call it a critique.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I guess I did have questions. I don't know if I have critiques. Overall, I don't even know if I could say any of that without spoiling the movie. So I'm gonna just say overall, I did really like it. Um,
Same.
obviously watch all of the movies before you see this, but specifically, if you just need a refresher, watch the first Black Panther movie. I would probably watch Civil War too, just because that
Mm-hmm.
gives more context to Chadwick and just like the American plot line. And
Yeah.
then I feel like that's really all you need to watch. It was
Mm-hmm.
pretty.
They don't really go into like the snap
Yeah.
or Wakanda post blip
Yeah.
or anything like that. Like a lot of properties have gone into that
Mm-hmm.
or at least touched on it.
Yeah.
But I guess like they didn't really need to
Yeah.
because their main character that got, well, Shuri also got blipped.
Yeah.
So that's it's I would have liked if they touched on it, but the fact that they didn't, it's actually just now hitting me that they didn't.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a major thing to me.
Yeah. They could have added a line in there. I saw
Just
opportunity for one specifically, like after obviously I think everybody knows that, T'Challa is not in this movie. And so
mm-hmm.
I just know that it would fucking destroy her to be gone for 5 years and then come back and then your brother is gone too. Like you feel like that
Like you
time was
don't really
stolen from
you
you.
don't re- exactly.
Yeah.
And I really think even in the scene in the throne room, the scene that they showed during the trailers, with Angela Bassett, like saying that they basically her whole family's been taken from her. I think that would have been a really good opportunity to basically say the same thing because she had both her kids got blipped.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been really good if they were like, or even like when they were mourning her and Shuri, I think that would have been a really good opportunity for her to just be like, I lost both of you and I was so blessed to get you guys back. And then one of my kids, died again. I think that would have been a good opportunity too.
And it's definitely something to keep in mind with like, even with all the properties from here on out, because I saw somebody say like phase 4 seems like to just be like the grief phase. Everybody is suffering some kind of a loss and dealing with the trauma of the blip and all of that stuff. So I feel like you have to at least think about that when you see characters acting in specific ways, especially when they start acting kind of out of character. Like, think about how you would be acting.
Exactly.
You would be on fucking
Think about
edge.
how COVID changed us.
Exactly. To the point where now, like, people be like, after COVID, if you look at me wrong at work, I'm quitting. Like,
no,
I'm
facts.
not dealing
like,
with nothing no more.
I literally do not care.
Right.
Like, my old boss, the job I had when I came here, when I moved back to Vegas, like, she said something to me crazy. I was like, I have to use the bathroom. And I went and I applied for jobs and I got the job that I applied for in the bathroom.
Right.
I was like, bitch, fuck
right.
you.
So yeah, that's our non-spoiler review. Watch it. At this point on, we're going to be spoiling everything that has ever happened in the MCU, including this movie and anything else that might happen. So you've been warned. Come back after you watched it and listen to the rest. So
yes,
this movie picks up. The first thing that they show us is Shuri trying to she in the lab trying to figure out how to cure her brother because they just found out that he was sick. And the first question I had was like, how did he get sick? So me and Prince was like trying to troubleshoot this shit. And it was just like, well, they never did say like what he had or where he got it. So maybe it was something that the heart-shaped herb couldn't fix. So they was trying to make another one. What did you think about that?
I don't think I thought too much about it in the movies. I just think that they were just trying to kind of trying to be like respectful of Chadwick and what he went through. But I did see this like really good explanation. I think I saw it on TikTok. Y'all, we saw this movie a week ago. It's going to be really hard for me to not talk about TikToks that I've seen.
Yeah.
I was trying to limit them.
Yeah.
But obviously our whole For You page was
the
like
entire thing.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But one person did say that like maybe it was the type of thing like you had to consume the heart-shaped herb consistently in order to like kind of like a vitamin type of thing. And Killmonger destroyed all the heart-shaped herbs, so that's why she was trying to like recreate it.
That would make sense though, because they had a lot in that room, even though it's only one panther at a time. So why like propagate that many herbs if you don't need them, you know?
Exactly. So they were saying that it's something that like maybe he had to consume continuously, and because they no longer had any heart-shaped herbs, whatever he did have, they
it dwindled
couldn't
away.
save them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That That works. That makes sense to me. So obviously she was trying to bioengineer an herb and it didn't work. And so that's where she was in his final moments.
Did you realize that her AI voice was Trevor Noah?
No.
I could not place the freaking voice until I was watching this video while I was taking notes, and I was like, that sure fucking
That
was
is so
him.
cool. Oh my God. I love that.
I love it too. And I love that he was kind of like Jarvis, but obviously better.
Right. In every way.
Because it's Wakanda.
That's dope. So pretty much that's the beginning of the movie, and the plot of the movie is, in a nutshell, like they have to deal with the fallout of his death. They have to deal with the secession, honestly. In the interim, Queen Ramonda is acting as Queen Regent. Ain't that what they call it in Game of Thrones? Mm-hmm. Queen Regent until Shuri. I guess, I don't know if they were waiting for her to come of age or just waiting for her to be ready.
I feel like she was already of age.
Yeah, I feel like in the first one she was supposed to be like what, like 18, 17, something like that. And that was a couple years ago.
I would put her at like 21 at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's accurate, especially when they went to the school and she was like, "Well, I'm young, I'm college age." So
yeah, exactly. And one thing, that's another thing that they do deal with is the fallout of at the end of Black Panther was T'Challa saying like, "Yeah, we actually not poor. We were to shit.
Right.
Like, we could buy a life."
Yeah, actually, you broke bitches need to get in line.
Exactly. And, you know, basically dealing with the world wanting their resources, as white people always fucking do.
Yeah. So while they're dealing with bullshit other countries trying to come in and colonize them, as they do, and the death of their king, and I'm sure the blip, and just everything has just been fucking ghetto. Just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Earth sucks. So
yes,
it was a hard time. And then while all of that is happening, this sexy ass Mexican god man shows up and tells them like, "Hey, you people have a problem." So his whole issue with the Wakandans is when Chadwick, I keep calling him Chadwick, it's T'Challa.
I know, it's really hard. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's what she said. That was inappropriate.
Oh my God. When T'Challa revealed Wakanda's true nature and the whole vibranium, everything to the world, it made the world say like, okay, let's see if we can find some vibranium some fucking where. It has to be. So because of that, they've been doing deep sea explorations, and for a long time, you know, nothing was coming up. But then an American scientist came up with a machine that can detect vibranium. So of course, they pulled some tricks and was using that in the ocean. And now Namor is like, okay, so they're getting fucking close to finding us because they are looking for y'all shit. So you need to help us stop this or we gonna have beef. And so that's pretty much how the movie kicks off.
Yes. And that's also how we end up getting introduced to Riri Williams. And I think that this is probably one of my like roll credits is they keep on referring to Riri as a scientist, not to diminish her. She is brilliant and she is a scientist, but she's also a young Black college student that got exploited by her professor. And I feel like if they would have tried to explain it in that way, like, yeah, these fucking surface people like trying to exploit all these Black and brown people, like, what's up with that? Like, you know, I feel like if they would have kind of like, if they would have, she wasn't intentionally trying to find vibranium in order to exploit Talokan or Wakanda or to get rich or anything like that. She was just being a freaking smart person.
I really wanted that conversation to happen between him and Shuri.
And it never did.
I really thought
that it was so frustrating.
Yes. And like you said, it would have been a roll credits moment. So obviously it could not have happened. Yes. But I really felt like when they kidnapped her and Riri, well, she wasn't really kidnapped because she asked to go with them. But
Yeah.
when they got there, when she was talking to him and he was showing her Talokan, she could have been like, okay, so basically it
Like
wasn't her
we're on the same
fault.
page.
Right.
Yeah.
She's actually black like me and she not really with
Yeah.
them. So can we like work something out?
Yeah, I was like, I was like, I feel like they could have gotten Namor on their side by explaining it like
Mm-hmm.
this is just another member of our like diaspora or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like being exploited.
Yeah. I wish
Just
that
like that, like she's one of us.
right. And it could have been as simple as that. He could have been like, oh, okay, my bad. So y'all gonna handle it. And sure, he'd been like, yeah, we're gonna pay for her the best fucking lawyer and sue
Hmm.
them for intellectual property and just tell
Yeah.
her, like, we're gonna get our little AI and it's gonna go through her computer and it's gonna like delete all the files from anybody else's
Hmm.
shit. And so that nobody will have this technology anymore. Tony
I felt
Stark
like
was
there would
able to
have
keep his tech a secret. So I feel like
with a box of scraps.
with a literal box of scraps, and they was not able to find that box of scraps either. Justin Hammer looking
Exactly.
at you. So,
Exactly. So I don't know. That was one thing that was like frustrating me. Like you said, like in that scene when
mm-hmm,
they were talking, I was just like, just tell him.
mm-hmm,
Like you hate the white people, so do
right.
I.
Them is not my friends. I'm not cool with them. They don't even like me.
Exactly.
I definitely don't like they ass because the first scene after the credits, like the little Marvel thing, was Queen Ramonda going into like the fucking UN. And then all them
Mm-hmm.
damn salamander ass other countries, was it France and somebody else, trying to gaslight them,
Uh-huh.
making it seem like, oh, since y'all got vibranium, it can get out and be dangerous.
And it's not detectable by metal
They was
detectors.
doing
You could
so
be doing
much.
this. They were, and it was like, babes, that's what you would. You know when people be cheating and they like accuse you of cheating,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what they were trying to do to her,
Yeah.
and she was just like, no, I know what y'all be saying. Y'all say y'all think we weak because we lost our king,
Mm-hmm.
but bitch, we still ain't the one.
Right. Try somebody else, ho. That's what she said.
Right.
Walk their little soldiers up in there. Look at
Mm-hmm. I thought they
man.
was about to behead them. I was like, I was like, Shani, this is not Game of
Right.
Thrones.
Look at you.
I thought that they was about to hit him with the quick.
Girl had Damon in that room.
Right.
Over with.
One thing I do want to talk about this scene was, yo, first of all, Angela Bassett is a national treasure.
She is. She was acting her ass off. Honestly, all the
She
performances in this movie were excellent.
okay, I'm gonna talk on that too.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna talk on that, and then I'm gonna talk about Angela Bassett.
Okay.
One thing, one thing that I thought about was the fact that when they created Black Panther, they obviously casted Chadwick Boseman, and then they casted supporting actors around him.
Mm-hmm.
Never in a million years did they think that they would have to make their supporting actors and
Mm-hmm.
actresses be the leaders of the show of the movies and have them have to carry it,
Yeah.
but they blew me away.
Phenomenal. Like,
Obviously, like I knew, we all know that Lupita and Angela like got the acting chops. We all know
mm-hmm.
that we do not have to question them. Pretty sure they both have Academy
I know
Awards.
Lupita does. For sure.
Yeah,
Is it Angela Winifred? What's love got to do with it?
I can't remember,
Hmm.
but she is a very highly not decorated but celebrated
Oh
actress,
yeah.
especially in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like Denai and Letitia, I wasn't too sure. You know,
Yeah.
like I've only seen them as supporting characters or in smaller roles. So like
She did win Best Actress
I
in
was
1994 for What's Love Got to Do with It.
so exactly. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
we know that they have the acting chops, but like Denai and Letitia
Oh, I knew
carried.
Dana had it
They
because I watched her in The Walking Dead. That's where I knew it was.
see
She was
I
acting
had
with that
only
bag
seen
that
her.
Tyler Perry wig on, so I knew, girl, she was gonna come with it.
Yeah, but like The Walking Dead is just like, are they really winning any Emmys?
I think they
They
have.
probably did.
Yeah, it
Was it
was
for
really good at one point.
I did like I think I watched like the first 3 seasons completely,
Hmm.
but I don't remember it. It wasn't memorable to me.
She was
I'll just
the
say
best
that.
part. She didn't come in until maybe like 4 or 5. She was really good.
When I was watching it, I think she just got introduced, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just lost interest in that show.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really blown away by their acting and the way that they were portraying these characters and the emotions and everything. Like, everybody did a phenomenal job.
I agree. I was also
And
concerned about.
as supporting actors and actresses, they did no notes,
Yeah. Yeah, I was
as
also
you
concerned
say.
about how Letitia would do. Not saying that she did a bad job as Shuri in the first Black Panther, because I don't think that at all. I think she did do good. But like you said, you don't really cast these people with the intent of them being the main character. And especially,
Mm-hmm.
like, everybody knows at this point that Shuri does become the Black Panther in the comic books. But I'm sure that that's something that probably would have happened down the line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In a couple movies, and maybe in a different.
Get a little bit more like
Yeah.
Shuri under her belt and more like
Mm-hmm.
direction and all that stuff. And but she was thrust into this
Yeah.
and she bodied
She did a
it.
great job. And I think that the way in which that they wrote the story helped her to do a good job too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, like, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, like, she hasn't earned it, which is misogyny, but whatever. More on that
Mm-hmm.
on 8. More on that at 8. But I think that her character being thrust into it in a, like, a just a terrible situation, as well as her being thrust into it in real life, like, the parallels of that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the story, the emotion, that's what really sold it for me. Like,
Yeah.
I,
I could feel it.
yeah, I just, it felt really genuine, and I'm sure, like, they didn't really even have to fucking dig deep for these performances. I feel like,
I'm sure it was very raw and at the surface.
oh yeah, um,
What I was originally gonna say about Angela Bassett, but like in that UN scene, I felt like, this is a year after she lost her son.
mm-hmm,
And obviously that's still super raw and everything. But you in a room full of white people that's kind of trying to comfort you. So you can't show that weakness, and you have to like kind of only show strength, and even though you're hurting inside and all of this stuff.
mm-hmm,
But, in the throne room, after Shuri was taking a telecon, she's basically just like laying all her emotions out on the table. And
yeah,
like, even though she doesn't know that Shuri's still alive, she lost her whole family. In her eyes, like, she lost everybody,
yeah.
And uh I forgot where I was going with that.
Pregnancy brain.
I know, and I'm literally reading it, but it still doesn't. I don't know where I was going with it when I took this note. But I just love like the fact that like she had to show strength around these people, even though she was hurting. But then when she was like, even she is strong, but she is also vulnerable when she's with her people
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and she was able to show that emotion.
I really liked
And
how they showed grief from, like, each different character dealt with the grief differently, and then they also dealt
mm-hmm,
with the grief differently at different points in the movie, which is crazy because,
mm-hmm,
like you said, with Rwanda, I feel like in the beginning, like, when she's talking to Shuri, she's just like, it's okay, like, I've dealt with it, I burned my funeral clothes, I've sat by the river and I listened to the wind, and it's hard, but
mm-hmm,
it's okay. At this point, when Shuri is just very in denial, she don't want to talk about her brother, she don't want to talk, like, she don't want to think about it, she just want to be left to do her work and, have fun, just in denial
mm-hmm.
about it. And Rwanda is in acceptance, and then when shit hits the fan and her second baby is gone, then she's just in full on anger. Like, it's so
Yeah.
many levels of grief. And then, like, even Denai, Okoye, I'm sorry. Okoye, she dealt with grief in her own way. Like, she felt immense guilt. And I'm sure she felt that same guilt over not being able to protect her king. And she also was not able
Mm-hmm.
to protect the princess. And then, just like, this is somebody who has devoted her life to this family. And like the guy said in the room, like, she
Yes.
pointed a spear at her own husband. So let's not call
Mm-hmm.
her a fake ass bitch right now, because she not.
Exactly. Exactly. That was actually, I didn't want to get to that. That's why I was like kind of losing my thought because I didn't want to get to that point yet. But you're right. Like, that's also something that I put too. Like, Ramona was mad
Hmm.
that Okoye, chose to stand with Killmonger and all of this stuff. And like, I get her being mad, but that's her job.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that that's the grief part because at that point, I don't think she was
mm-hmm,
thinking logically at all. She was just lashing out. She was hurt. She was scared.
for sure.
And unfortunately, the people who are closest to you get the brunt of the heat. And Okoye is that person because she's been their
Yeah.
right hand for a long time.
And then when you think about it too, if you take the blip into consideration as well, she couldn't protect her king twice.
Yeah.
And that's literally her job. Like
Hmm.
that's what she was meant to do,
Yeah.
you know?
She made that her life's purpose is to protect and serve the royal family of
Yep.
Wakanda. And
Um
and I'm sure she probably was the general for T'Chaka too.
I think so.
Probably. I mean, he was an older king, but she's still like I feel like she's at the age where she could have, been serving both of them.
Transitioned.
Yeah, so I'm sure like she if the characters are to represent a level or stage in grief, she's definitely guilt. And I
Mhm.
felt so bad for her. She was
I did
so
too.
fucking hurt.
And then like since we're talking about the stages of grief and everything, I did have a note about, anger
Hmm.
is a stage of grief. And I was like kind of looking up while I was taking my notes, I looked up the stages of grief and everything. And one of them, like I said, it's anger. But, it said that some people don't experience that aspect of grief
Hmm.
or, yeah, of grief. But some people stay there.
Yeah.
Some people like let that anger just kind of dictate their life, and that's kind of what happened with Namor and Killmonger.
Hmm.
They let their anger turn them to vengeance, and they wanted justice and revenge so bad because they felt like the world had wronged them.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see like Shuri going down that same path, and it's like that quote, like if you don't heal, you bleed onto the people that didn't cut you.
Mm.
And uh like if they would have been successful, even though the surface world is trash,
Yeah.
like they could have just killed the government people, but no, they was like, nah, everybody gotta go. And it's just like
Hmm.
so many, and even if it was government people, but it's just like it's so many innocent people that would have gotten their wrath because they were so hurt
Exactly.
and they wanted vengeance because this world took so much from them.
Hmm.
And um I love that Shuri and T'Challa both ended up coming to the same
Hmm.
conclusion. Like they wanted vengeance and they wanted the world to face their wrath
Hmm.
and all of this stuff, but then they ended up coming to the same conclusion. Shuri says like vengeance has consumed us. We must not let it consume our people. And then in Civil War, T'Challa says something like, grief has consumed you. I'm done letting it consume me. And I just
Yeah.
love
I
it.
love it. And I feel like that can easily be seen as like them retreading the same like plot points or the same narrative. But I don't think that it is. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
number one, when you like deal with like TV shows and movies that are about like secession, it's usually somebody has to die or be killed in order for you to be in that throne. We've watched Game of Thrones. So,
Yeah, like little Luke said.
yeah. So,
He said if I get the throne, well not the throne. He was like if I'm Lord of Driftmark, that mean everybody dead. I don't want that shit.
exactly. So I mean that's part of it. So that's how he became king because his dad died and she became the
Mhm.
queen because her brother and her mom died. So it's going to you have to get through that part of it. And I guess they could not
Yeah.
show it. But then we're at this point where as the audience we're expecting to know like these emotional moments about these characters and we want like a fully developed character. So you cannot just continue as if this shit is not happening and it not affecting these characters. And
Right.
we've seen the effects of a a fake or a half-ass attempt at showing a character going through an emotional time back in phase 2 with Iron Man 3. So
Mhm.
let's not retread that. Maybe not do that.
Exactly. We can make it real.
Yeah.
And I also just put briefly that when you like kind of go deeper into like that stage of grief, you can even see that it applies to like Thor, it applies to Loki, it applies to Wanda, and you know, a lot of the characters in this phase, like you said earlier, phase 4 is like kind of about grief. So you can kind of see that in a lot of the characters in this phase, like they kind of went through that.
Yeah.
You know.
And I feel like this is like, this movie is really like, it is sitting in the grief. And that's why I said, like, I don't know, I meant to say this, I don't know if I said this in non-spoilers, but this movie is fucking sad. It's good, but I mean,
it is a very heavy movie.
It is heavy, and so you have to take that into account. But it should be. I feel like it should be. As far as like the other stages of grief, I just thought about this. I feel like Nakia would be, well, she's presented as denial. I don't think she's actually denial. We find it out later on in the movie, but she's the one who didn't go to the service. She didn't come back, and when asked about it, she was just like, I couldn't be there because he was different for me. That was my man.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That was my baby daddy. That was him. Okay.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Let's talk about something else. The costuming. I thought the movie was fucking beautiful. I loved every single garment that these characters wore. Whoever is the costume designer, she went off. Like when they went to America, Okoye's outfit. That fucking cat suit with the oversized blazer and the, come on.
I love, with the shoulders.
Yes.
I loved that.
The silhouette of that was sickening. Oh.
I loved Shuri's outfit.
Her tracksuit.
Her tracksuit with the haircut.
Yes.
She did it for me this movie.
Very young and hip. Very like, I know the things. Like, this is the princess of Wakanda. Like, the drip is together. Okay.
Yes. Yes. I was 100. I was there. I was with
I
it.
also love that they put the makeup on her head instead of the wig again, because that didn't work. And then she's just like, it's not ashy, is it? Which is so fucking black. This is what happens when you have black people in the writer's room. Because we know that makeup shades are not always inclusive. They do not account for all of our undertones. And if you have on the wrong shade, especially as a dark-skinned woman, your shit might look ashy. Yeah. It might look gray. You might look casket ready, okay? Loved it.
Also, every outfit that Angela Bassett was in, loved it.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I really love, it's not costuming, but one thing I really love is how it felt like Wakanda was bigger in this movie. Like they built it out. They built the world out more.
Yeah. We definitely saw a lot more.
I just love, like, exactly. And I love that.
Yeah.
I wish we could get more of it. I wish we could just get,
especially like the parts when
Wakanda content.
When the mom with Ramonda and Shuri were like out, like, oh, like y'all just fucking walking in the fucking jungle and shit, and it's fucking beautiful. Neymar even said it like, oh, the air, the water, like it's nice over here. Okay,
exactly, because you already know that they probably still have like fresh ass like atmosphere and everything.
They probably got a big ass HEPA filter in that mountain. Something going on.
They probably just step outside of Wakanda and can't breathe.
Right,
they all
just
need like an inhaler. Like it's stank.
Probably
out
just
here.
get tired. Like, oh my god, the sun don't even shine the same way out here.
Exactly.
I love that. How did you feel about Shuri's suit, her Black Panther suit?
I loved it. I love the detail of the dot around her eyes. Like she had, what was that in? Was it in Black Panther or Infinity War that she had the?
I think both of them.
Maybe it was both of them, and it might have also been an Endgame too. But I just I loved it.
Yeah.
First of all, loved that. I love that it looks feminine.
I love that it looks like a mixture between T'Challa's and Killmonger's.
And yes,
I was like, well, I peeped that y'all put a little gold on that. I know what that means. She on demon time right now.
I was just about to say she's ready to fuck shit up.
Yeah, I do like she looks strong. It looks menacing, and I think like the gold parts make it look menacing because we just like are triggered. Like Killmonger had that gold shit on because he was whooping y'all ass. And so I
Exactly.
really like that. And I did like the little details, like it don't, because at first Prince thought it was the same suit. I'm like, no, it's definitely not, because I feel like
Right.
Killmonger's suit had like a little leopard print or cheetah print or something on it
Yes,
in parts
it
of it.
did.
Yeah, like the Black Panthers, like they had their
It was
own
a little bit
flavor in their
more.
suit.
It was a little bit more gaudy.
Yes, it was exactly. I like that. The only thing that I was not a big fan of the Okoye's suit. It was something about
Yes.
it. Like I liked the hair. I liked the
Did it remind you of Fifth Element?
yes, and the Predator. It
Yeah.
reminded me of
But
that.
it is pretty. I mean, I looked it up from the comics and it's pretty comic book accurate.
Mm.
So
It could
I
be
think that
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 I'm
was.
just not used to not seeing her face while she fights, and I'm happy that
Mm-hmm.
they like let her lift up her mask and talk her shit. Because I am used to looking at her. She's very expressive while she fights, so I kind of miss
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And the Riri suit, her Iron Man suit, it reminded me
I wish that
like
we would have gotten more of it.
yeah. But what I did see of it, I don't know if I was in love with that either. Like it looked cool and I loved
Mm-hmm.
it, but I feel like I don't know. They have so many different iterations of these suits. I'm sure she gonna have like 100 fucking different suits by the end of this
She
shit.
has her own show coming out. We gonna see
Right,
so many of them. Though
right,
that's just Mark 2.
right.
All right, like Tony had like Mark 700.
Yeah,
So we're gonna get more suits for sure.
yeah.
But this one, it didn't really blow me away.
Mhm.
In the way that it wasn't memorable, and I wish that we would have gotten more like, because like when Tony put on his suits, they was like from the ground up. It was like,
Yeah.
the camera was panning and all of this stuff. We didn't get too much
It
of
was
it.
a
So that kind of
spectacle when he
sucks.
put his suit on, but
Exactly.
we'll probably get more of that like when it's her actual movie. And like I don't hate
Mm-hmm.
it, but I feel like it
Love
has
that she's
room
a I
to
love that she's a black girl from Chicago.
yes. Oh, I love Riri and her straight back braids.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh,
Yes. She's just so
cousin.
cute. I know. Oh, I don't know if y'all new listeners, we're from Chicago too.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why. South side of Wakanda.
Southside. Yeah, I loved her. I loved how she was up in the um up in the fucking MIT selling homework and shit. That was yesterday's price.
Love
Today it's
that.
a band. Yes, it is, bitch. Yeah, you from
Exactly.
Chicago,
Yes.
huh?
Exactly. She got that hustle in her.
Yes, I love that. I loved everything about that first scene when she came and Okoye was in the fucking bathroom. That she picked. What did she pick
Mm-hmm.
up? A vacuum cleaner or something?
Like a heater or
Yes,
something.
a heater. She was like,
A
some all
stereo,
that ash on
something.
your head. Oh,
I
that shit
know.
had me
Why was they
cracking up.
coming for Okoye so much? Because then
Man.
M'Baku was just like bald headed demon. I was like, damn.
Oh my god. It was so many like little funny lines in this movie. The
Mm-hmm.
ones that hit the hardest though came from Namor. He
Yeah.
was so fucking y'all know we love villains on this show. I got on my Thanos shirt today.
Yeah.
Man, when he said bury your dead, you the queen now, I was like,
Yeah, I know. I was like, how you just gonna walk into their place and destroy it and then
woo.
tell them to go ahead and mourn your
He
dead?
said, congratulations, you the queen now because of me, bitch. Oh my god.
I was like, God
The
damn.
disrespect.
Savage.
Woo. But as I was reading in this Marvel encyclopedia, Neymar is just that guy. And Ryan Coogler
Mm-hmm.
also said this in one of his interviews. He was like, Neymar is very slick, he's charismatic, he flirt with other people's wives, he will steal your bitch. Like him and Sue Storm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they was the whole thing. Like
I love
it
that.
was almost no Reed Richards because Neymar was right there. So
I love that. Just real quick about his history.
mhm.
He's like one of the oldest characters. He's considered one of the first comic anti-heroes. His character
Mm.
was first introduced in 1939.
God damn.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
We don't have to spend too much time on it, but he's considered the first mutant. And basically because he's like a hybrid of a human and Atlantean
Mm-hmm.
and everything, like we mentioned earlier. And he's like, his strength level, as we saw in the movie, his strength level depends on his physical contact with water. And if he's away from water, it basically like diminishes.
Mm.
And he's strong enough to fight beings like the Hulk and like win. And I want to say that he was also uh it was said that he's powerful, or he's just as powerful as Thor too.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
I'm
I'm
so
looking
happy
forward to
he's
seeing some
here.
more of
I can't
him.
wait to see them
And we
fight.
have a it's before it cuts off on us, we got a lot of gods. So I'm wondering where they're gonna go with that. Because in Thor we got Hercules too. So I'm wondering like where we gonna go with that.
Mm. So speaking of Namor, let's just go ahead and talk about him as a villain. So I thought his origin story was dope.
Super
Basically,
dope.
his mama was ancient, like Mayan, like American. I mean, native to Mexican individual, and they was getting fucking colonized, and they found a plant that was like infused with vibranium, and they all ingested it, and it killed them. I think in like their second life, they was able to like live under the water. They were
Yeah.
mutated, and she was pregnant with him while she took it and did this whole process. So he was the first one born underwater, and he was given powers and wings and pointy ears, and he was a mutant. He said that, and when he said that, I just imagined Jen Walters looking at the camera saying like, "Cause we can say mutant now."
Exactly. We're gonna like pretty much every property from now on. They gonna mention a mutant.
Right. So when his mother died, she said that she wanted to be buried, in the ground where she was from. And when they went to do that, they found out that the Portuguese or the Spaniards, some white folks
The
had,
Spaniards.
yeah, had colonized and put the people in slaves, enslaved the people, built big ass ugly ass houses on their land, this whole thing. So they fucked up all them people, buried his mama, and then the Spaniard guy had cursed him and said he called him a child without love, na amor, something like that. And so he took that as his name, Namor. Namor.
I just love the contrast, not the contrast, but just the similarities between like Talokan and Wakanda. They're basically the same. And what I love about that is it's kind of like, hey, like black and brown people, like we gotta stick together. We're literally the same. We have different cultures and all of that stuff.
It's us
but
against them, though.
Yeah, we have to stick together.
Because originally it was them against all
Even
of us, for people who be pissy.
exactly. And then too, even like after I saw the movie and I looked at the art for the movie, they show that they show in the art that it's basically it's mirrored image. One is just above ground and the other one is underneath the sea. So I love that. I love that they both have their own
They
little
little
hand salute.
I would look when I saw them
Yes.
do that. I was like, "Oh, Mexican people got a thing now." I was so
Exactly.
excited for y'all.
They have a thing.
Yes, like
I was watching something. What did they say? Oh, I can't remember what they said, but they started singing Baby Shark. It was really funny. But
I loved it.
that's neither here nor there.
I thought Talokan was really beautiful. I wish we would have seen more of it. I know when Ryan Coogler was talking about like developing how they wanted Talokan to look, he said, he's seen Aquaman and he's seen like all these other different movies, and
Little Mermaid.
yeah, and he was like, I want it to look like familiar but different. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're basically watching Aquaman as soon as you see them, just because they're underwater and just because that was based in Atlantis and all of that stuff. And I thought, like,
I love that.
I think he accomplished that. It looked different than that to me.
For sure. And it looked like they carried that Mesoamerican culture, but it's just underground. I don't know what the name of the game is, but they kick the ball through the little hole in the wall.
Yes.
With the green grass goes around. But they're playing that, and I just love even in the cave and stuff like that, how they had like the art, how he had the artwork.
He was an artist,
kind of like that traditional. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is that I just wish that we saw like more, and maybe we did because, of course, I've only seen it once, and it was a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
so I might be misremembering things. But when he was just like, "Hey, me and all my people could be up in here, like I could just call a squad and we could overrun y'all ass quick," I didn't really get that sense when I saw Talokan. Like, I wanted to see big masses of people that you could see would
Mm-hmm.
give way to a huge army. And we did see a lot of people, but I don't know.
But we didn't see enough for it to overpower the world, I don't think.
Right. So, I don't know. But he did, like, show the fuck up with his people, though, at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of them, and it was more than we had seen. But still, I don't know if I saw, like, it could be so, like, a massive army to just demolish, like, the fucking American Navy. Like, I don't know.
I mean, maybe with their powers and combined with their powers, they
Yeah,
would.
I'm just talking about, like, one-to-one
And
bodies. Like,
true,
yeah.
yeah, true. I agree.
But, yeah, that was cool. Namor, I liked that, like, he obviously I liked his outfit. Loved it. Great fashion choices. No notes. I loved his personality. Like,
his jewelry. I love how
yeah,
cocky he is. He was basically like Killmonger.
yes.
But obviously they're different characters, but like they also have their similarities too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just yeah, that confidence was
And you could tell, like, he'd been around for a real long time. Like, you could tell that
yes.
he owed, because he just like, I don't really need to do a whole lot. Like, I could just say some shit to you in my regular ass voice, and you're gonna be scared. Like, I don't have to yell.
He was definitely menacing.
Very fucking menacing.
I would be afraid.
Like, what, I can't remember
Not
what
gonna
he
lie.
said to Queen Ramonda. Like, when they were like, Nakia was over there trying to, re-kidnap them back. Then she
Right,
was talking to
exactly.
him. I don't remember what he said, but I remember the feeling that I felt in the theater when he said, and I was like, "Oh, bitch, don't mess with him.
I know.
Leave
I
him
was
alone."
afraid for them.
Yeah,
I was afraid for them. I was like, "Yo,
yeah.
Nakia gotta get
Y'all
out of
need to
there."
hurry up. Y'all need to hurry up and go.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else about Namor? Ooh, when they did the final battle? You want to just skip to the final battle? Because I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, we also have to talk about Killmonger too.
Right. Okay. So just real quick on that final battle, when she ripped his wing off his foot like it was a chicken wing,
Oh my
I
god!
was like, "Oh, we are there."
And when he like pushed her into the spear,
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, she's gone. Like she dead."
Yeah.
Very bloodless, but
Well, I know because I'm pretty sure that the harp-shaped herb comes with a healing factor.
I'm sure it
Probably.
does.
So I wasn't like, I know people in the theater was like, but
No, for
after
sure.
seeing Tony Stark get stabbed and then just be okay with nanotechnology, I was like, she'll be fine.
That's true. That's true. That is also very true. This is definitely a movie that I need to go and watch again.
Oh yeah, even though it's
because
gonna
I'm
be
sure
hard.
I missed so much.
I feel like this movie is gonna be like, I'm gonna watch this movie how I will rewatch Still Magnolias. Like, at the end, it's really sad she dies. I never watched that part. I always turn it off right before it gets sad. I feel like with this movie, I'm just gonna fast forward like past the funerals.
Yeah.
So that I can keep watching it.
Exactly. I don't blame you.
So at the end, well, not the end, but in the 11th hour, Shuri does figure out that heart-shaped herb, and she 3D printed it in her lab. And so when she died, she saw Killmonger. And I just want to say,
and I was like,
I would have been so fucking blue if my mama had just died.
Oh,
no, well, that
sorry.
too, because I kind of forgot. Like, did we know he was gonna be in this movie?
No, I didn't.
I did. It's the people on the internet who see every rumor. They probably knew, but I didn't know. So that was like a moment for me.
For sure.
But just like, if I was Shuri, I would have been so fucking blue if my mama just died and I took this heart-shaped herb expecting to see my mom, and then I see my fucking cousin who like killed my brother
met, like once.
Right. And when I met him, he was fucking mean. Ew. 1 star, would not recommend. Why are you here in my afterlife? I would have been pissed.
Right. But he was looking fine as fuck with them dreads.
Yeah.
Kissing cousins. No, I'm just joking.
I was not expecting you to say that.
I wasn't
Oh
expecting
my
me to
god.
say that. But I forgot what I was about to say. Oh, I was gonna say, like, at the beginning of the movie when Shuri is talking to her mom, she's basically saying how she want to watch the world burn.
Mm-hmm.
Get it, girl? Burn they cities to the ground.
Thanks.
I completely understand.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are saying it was basically at that moment is when, not that she chose him, like, actually, like, but subconsciously that's kind of who she needed to see in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, she's talking to him and she wants to blame him for her mother's death, and he's like, don't take that away from her, and that she basically sacrificed herself to protect a girl from the lost tribe. And I think that that's something that he wishes somebody would have done for him,
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of what his whole purpose was. Like, he felt like Wakanda had completely abandoned their people, and they have all of these resources and they could have protected Black people around the world and stuff like that, but they chose not to. And he was just like, girl, when he was like, her dad would have killed Riri. He's like, because he killed his own brother. I was like, oh. But is he wrong?
You might. He ain't gonna tell you a lie. What's the how the saying go? I might tell you a story, but I ain't gonna tell you a lie. Something like that.
Yo, something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, come on, like in the first Black Panther, his thoughts were basically like Wakanda, with all their resources could have been helping Black people. And I feel like he probably thought like that was her duty to kind of protect her in that moment. Like she did not deserve to die as a member, of the lost tribe. She did not deserve to die, and she and your mother died protecting her, which is what she should have done, which is what Wakanda should have done for all Black people, and didn't.
Yeah. That's an amazing point. Wow. I'm really happy that they included him in that way.
Me too.
It made sense to have him in the movie in this way and not, the other bad ideas that people on the internet had.
I really thought, and I was hoping that they did not do this. I really thought that they were about to have like some type of like hologram of Chadwick or some shit. I would have been like so annoyed. And then I was just like, well, why aren't they like just showing who it is? Like, why is it so like cloak and dagger? You know what I mean? And that's why
I love that after she saw him and she woke up like ready to fight, everybody was just like, so who did you see when you?
And she was just like, she was embarrassed. Yeah,
don't ask me no questions, bitch. Oh,
exactly. It was like she was embarrassed that that's who she saw.
Yeah, but I also like that when she saw him and afterwards, like she was like real aggressive, and M'Baku and Nakia was just like, "You okay? Like,
yeah,
you
like,
mad, but you acting a little different. What's going on?"
Exactly.
I couldn't be mad at her though, because honestly, you give me a heart-shaped herb and kill my mama, I'm burning shit down too. I would have made the same exact decision. And when I was in the show and I was thinking about this, of course I started thinking about House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. And I was thinking about like how Rhaenyra was really like trying to keep the peace. And like as the sovereign, you have like so much say over like what happens in the people's lives that are like you're ruling over. And Rhaenyra, I said Rhaenys before. I was talking about Rhaenyra.
No, you said Rhaenyra.
Okay, so Rhaenyra, like she's trying to like save people. She's trying to keep the peace because she's thinking like, and she's also very much older than Shuri. So she's just like, it's important for me to not be like a warmonger and go crazy.
And she was also like trying, like, according to her dad's wishes, like wanting to keep the realm together so that they could eventually fight the White Walkers, even though that wasn't going to be for another like 200 years.
Right. So you have this one approach, and then you have Daemon, who was like, y'all killed my brother, so fuck y'all. And that's how Shuri was. So you could either be a Rhaenyra or you could be a Daemon. But that's why Daemon wasn't the king. Because that's not right. You're not supposed to act like that.
Exactly. You know what's so funny is earlier I had a Game of Thrones reference, but I didn't say it. I was going to say like how Ramonda. I don't know why I thought I said it. Okay, anyway, how she was giving Okoye shit for choosing to side with Killmonger. And she was like, I was, I'm sworn to the throne and all of this stuff. And it's just like, she's loyal, but she's loyal to the throne. And I was just like, but that's her job. And I was like, I'm sure Lord Barristan Selmy didn't want to be Kingsguard for the Mad King or Sir Arthur Dane, because he's supposed to be like a really loyal person and very honorable. But it was like their loyalty's to the throne, not to the person on it. So it's like, what do you expect for them? Like,
yeah. And then, unlike...
he won fair and square.
Yeah, unlike W'Kabi, when she saw that, T'Challa's still alive, so technically he's still king because the fight wasn't over, then she immediately went back. And that's why W'Kabi, in case anybody was wondering, Ryan Coogler did address that in an interview, and he said that W'Kabi is basically, like, in jail. Like, he's still in Wakanda, but he is away, like, put up away because he did commit treason. So
exactly. And that's kind of what I gathered.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, without them actually saying it, I kind of got that.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah. What else haven't we talked about?
Also, love Everett Ross, love an ally.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of Martin Freeman.
Right. That
him and Val are exes. Did not see that coming.
Not at all. And she looks like the scariest fucking person. Like,
yeah.
Just being married to like the queen of the Karens. That's what she seems like. Yeah. Like just a ball buster. Like,
but then like the fact that she is like head of the CIA.
She reminds me of like a little evil Nick Fury. Like, yeah. Like,
and you know what's so crazy is that like I was watching something and they were saying how, when they were having this conversation and Everett was just like, have you ever thought that what Wakanda could be doing with all that vibranium? Like, and they're choosing not to do it. He was like, do you know what the United States would do if they had that much vibranium? And she was like, I dream of that and all of this stuff. And then like in this video I was watching, they were basically saying like, that could be a part of the whole like Thunderbolts thing. And then I thought about it and I was just like, I would hate that. Yeah. Just because Bucky is in it.
Yeah, I was just thinking like Bucky, Okoye, I mean, Ayo already beat your ass. Come on. They gonna take the arm next time. You're not gonna have one.
No, you not gonna be nothing. You just gonna be a disabled veteran. Yeah. A 250-year-old veteran. Yeah. And so I was just like, just besides the fact that they would body him, he owes so much to the Wakandans that I would absolutely hate for him to have to like,
and I think he genuinely likes them too.
No, 100%. Like I think he was in love with Ayo. Like honestly, like when you rewatch the like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think he loved her. Like they had something.
Yeah. Too bad she's a big old lesbian. So
I know, exactly. Now I know that. Now I know that, but I feel like he had like an affinity for her. Like honestly and truly, like when you rewatch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you can kind of see it. So yeah. And then like T'Challa did all that for you, and that's how you gonna treat his memory.
Yeah. I honestly hope
I would
not.
really hate to see
and
that.
Then I feel like they would have to like really change so much about Wakanda, or they would just have to give the Thunderbolts a whole lot that they haven't earned in order for them to feasibly come in and like take some vibranium.
Because they're very plucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that better not fucking happen. I'm gonna write a letter.
No, facts. That's pretty much all I have.
Yeah. So let's talk about the reception and the criticisms of this movie. So the box office so far has made $330 million worldwide, which is so fucking good. That everybody's just like, wow. So it's almost like Black Adam didn't even fucking happen. And Honestly, what did y'all expect? Come on.
That was so shady.
Yeah. So Rotten Tomatoes, the score is at 84% for the critics and 95% for the audience. Most of the criticisms on Rotten Tomatoes that I saw was pretty much about like the long runtime, and then white people tired of
I can
the
see
the
that.
anti-colonial sentiments in these movies. And to them, I say tough titty. I don't know. I can deal with it.
Fuck you.
Right.
Like,
I mean, y'all shouldn't have colonized everybody. Then we wouldn't have no stories. We wouldn't have nothing to talk about if y'all would have fucking behaved.
exactly. If y'all would have left us the fuck
Yeah. So
alone.
now you get to watch this shit. Um. So I'll just go through like a few of the trashy, stupid criticisms because I love this movie and fuck y'all. So the tone, it's sad. Um, that's off-putting to some people because they go into superhero movies and they just want to see loud noises and flashing lights. They don't want to be sad. And you know what? If that's you, Black Adam is showing in the next theater over.
Exactly.
So I don't know. And like I was saying earlier, we don't want it to be like another Iron Man 3 when Tony Stark had PTSD for 5 whole minutes and then it just went away and everybody else had to deal with the consequences of his guilt for like the next 6 movies. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that this showed like an actual realistic mourning process, and I feel like we've actually gotten through it. So in the next movie, we can move on to something else. Um, People did not like the American subplot with Allegra Cole, or whatever the fuck her name is, and Martin Freeman.
Well, they had to introduce her.
I think you have to have the Americans if you're going to have Riri Williams be an integral part because, I mean, if the Wakandans came and just like snatched up a student at MIT who had like technology that they wanted to not be snatched up, I feel like this is like it would happen. Like
Yeah.
the movie is very self-contained, but I feel like it kind of needed that to explain that part in order for Riri to be in the movie.
It didn't bother me. I'ma just I love Martin Freeman. Period. So if he's in something,
and I don't
I'm
think it
not
was
gonna
that he didn't
complain.
have that much screen time for it to be distracting.
It didn't. He was like, "Hey, I could get in trouble for this information, but here it is." And it just kind of shows that he still has a relationship with the Wakandans.
Yeah, and like everybody knows that they exist. Like had this happened before, everybody knew about the Wakandan technology, then you wouldn't need to have any of this involved. But because they decided to expose themselves to the world, like it matters. But okay. The runtime was long. That was another thing, and then the lack of black men and this pushing of an agenda.
Let's
I
talk about
am
it.
so tired. Like I am fucking exhausted. I want to read an email that we got. One of our listeners by the name of Prince wrote this rant in.
One of our listeners, the listener.
Right. Our first listener. My husband has been having a very hard time on the internet this week because I think just as a man and as a man who is not a misogynist, he is always just shocked at how strong and just strong and wrong the misogyny is and how it just does not go away. So
And it doesn't, and it's like, and it's even with women. Like,
yeah,
that's the craziest part. Like,
and I think that's the part that he's
what you're
struggling
talking
with too, like the internalized misogyny. But let me read what he said. He wanted to get this rant out, so we're gonna let him do it. I know the internet is a cesspool of bad takes, but I honestly thought that we, black people, were better than the toxic Mary Sue takes the white man throat. Wait, this is a run-on sentence, sweetheart. That white men throw at strong women characters, absent of any real criticism. I honestly don't understand why any depiction of a strong black woman or strong women in general is so triggering for people. This time the shit even triggered women, saying it's pushing an agenda. Hear me out. No man is emasculated by a strong woman. I'll repeat that. No man is emasculated by strong women. Seeing Shuri become the Black Panther was a problem for people because she didn't earn it. Did T'Challa? He's
He was
challenged,
born into it.
right?
Sorry.
He's challenged for the throne and for the protector, but they didn't show him actually training. We just assumed he did, and it's acceptable. It's like when they wanted to see Shuri struggle in a way that T'Challa didn't in order for it to be believable, all because she's a woman. Not realizing that her struggle is already different from his. He didn't struggle to become the Black Panther. Why does it need to be a struggle? Just like Rey in the most recent Star Wars movies. But that's a whole rabbit hole, and I won't go into it. Rant over. Thank you for writing
Thank you,
in.
Prince.
If you would like to write something in and possibly be read over the podcast, write us in at southsideofwakanda@gmail.com.
Yes. I feel like that's the only criticism that people have.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when it came to like Riri Williams too, they were like, "Oh, well, she didn't earn it." How do you know she didn't earn it?
I feel like she
Tony
did.
Stark didn't earn anything. He was born into wealth. He didn't earn anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a girl from fucking Chicago that made it to MIT and she's a freaking genius. Like, and you saying that she didn't earn it. And then the fact that
Didn't she say she built a car with her daddy when she was like 5 or something? Like,
yes, she's a genius.
Yeah.
She earned it. And then the fact that like we see T'Challa as the Black Panther before his dad, like when his dad dies.
Mm-hmm.
So he had already had that mantle without being challenged.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, he didn't get challenged until he got back to Wakanda, like what, a week or something later.
Yeah.
And as far as the continuity of the story goes, that was like a week or two later that they had the
with him and Killmonger.
I'm gonna call it the King's Moot with M'Baku.
Right.
So it's just like, but he had already been wearing a suit. He had already been, in Civil War, he was fighting people in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we don't see him.
We just
training.
accept it because he's a man.
Exactly. And then the same thing too, like with in Shang-Chi, you can say the same thing. Like, okay, well, like Shang-Chi was being trained.
Mm-hmm.
His sister wasn't being trained.
Right.
She was training, but she wasn't the one in the focus, basically,
right.
To get proper training, but she was kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, why do
she
things
kicked his ass, first of all, and we did see him training a little bit as a kid. And then later on, we were told, like, oh, yeah, well, when you was training, I was training, too, by myself. But we got, like, 2 seconds of that. But you still believe that she beat his ass. And nobody said nothing else about that.
Exactly. Another thing that woman in the TikTok had brought up was that, that she's kind of tired of the whole, like, strong black women. Black women are inherently strong.
Oh.
That's just a given.
Girl, okay. Wait, let's go back. So,
okay.
in case you guys don't follow us on TikTok, I did a stitch to some lady's video, and she was basically saying that she didn't like the Black Panther movie because it was too female-centered. It was pushing an agenda that, emasculating the black man, and it was basically the woman king all over again. And she said she just didn't think it was believable that this 90-pound soaking wet black woman could body a man, and all of that. The internet has been dragging her.
And then she doubled down on it. And because people were saying, oh, you don't read the comic books. And then she went to like a Marvel wiki and was talking about stuff, and somebody like dragged her again. Like all of the stuff that you're talking about did not happen in 616 continuity.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what you're talking about, because she was like, well, this happened in the comic books and it didn't happen in the movie. And like, oh, Storm and T'Challa are married in the comic books. Like, babe.
Oh my God.
You're embarrassing yourself
it was
at this
so,
point.
Oh my God. Like, I was looking at that and I was like, oh, you thought you ate that. That was so fucking embarrassing. Like, they came to you saying that you should read the comic books. Then your stupid ass go on Google and like, why? Why would that be? Like, just from a logical standpoint. And I know that if you only have 2 brain cells left to rub together, the logical standpoint is not the standpoint that you're going to be on. But let's just pretend for a second. If somebody says, oh, you need to go read this book and then you'll understand. And then you come back and say, well, I just Googled it.
I looked at Wikipedia.
Girl, if you don't fucking sit down, if you don't just get off the internet, delete the video and
Yeah.
just go talk about something else. And that's why, like, I felt
Because
the need to
obviously
duet
this is
her.
not for you.
Right. And like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, you need to read the comic books. Like, the fact that she didn't understand what happened in this movie is because she didn't read the comic books. No, it's not. And people keep
Exactly.
commenting on our video, and I keep blocking their asses because when have you ever had to do that? Like we said this earlier, it's a lot of people who have watched Game of Thrones or watched Orange is the New Black or watched The Witcher or The Lord of the Rings. Y'all have not read a single Tolkien book. I promise
Mm-hmm.
you, you have not read nothing George R. R. Martin has written. You haven't. And you still can enjoy those
Right.
shows and understand it. That's because when someone is putting together a production, they have a script that is written to them by some people who have read a few comic books or a few movies or like have taken things from things that aren't even in the comics and they turn it into something that has a full story from start to finish that you can understand if you are not an idiot. So
Exactly.
I just like I I was embarrassed for her. And if you simply just watch the movie, that's all you need to do. Why shouldn't pay
If you
attention?
watched, yeah, if you watched Infinity War, oh, not Infinity, well, that too, but Black Panther, like, you would understand. She sounds like somebody that just was like, oh, this is a black movie, I'm gonna go see it, and then went and saw it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it didn't make sense to her because she doesn't understand, like, the lore of the Black Panther and the lore of the heart-shaped herb and everything. And
As
to my
established in the
point,
films.
exactly, exactly. Just from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch that stuff, you would also know that yeah, the Dora Milaje are very strong, but they're also very feminine too. Like,
Yes.
cuz when Okoye in the first Black Panther was in that outfit,
Bad.
and in the end, when they were at the UN and she was in that all black, or even in Civil War when the Dora Milaje was in all like they all black dresses and
Ask for
stuff like
days.
that, they look beautiful.
Yes.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with black women. We're not monoliths. Like, we can be strong and we can also be feminine
Mm-hmm.
too. And then the same thing goes for black men, because she was saying that, oh, there's like, they emasculated the black men. There was like one black man in this movie.
How in
And to
which
me,
were they emasculated?
M'Baku,
How?
exactly, like, because M'Baku is a very strong, fine ass,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, shit. And what was it, I think it was an Infinity War, he was up there running with people that had super soldier serums.
Yes.
Like, that man is very
Ain't never
fit,
been a
and he
pussy, first of all.
never.
Never.
And then, but in moments that his people need him,
Mm-hmm.
he was
I'm
there
wondering
when
if
they
that's what
needed,
it is.
when
Because you was
when they like needed to escape out of Wakanda,
mm-hmm.
basically, because they were attacked. He let his people come there. In the first Black Panther, when Killmonger took over, he was a place of refuge for T'Challa and Shuri and everybody. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
and when he could see the fact that Shuri was kind of going down this dark path, and he talked to her in a way that a big brother would.
Mm-hmm.
And a black man showing strength but also vulnerability does not make him emasculated.
No.
So if that's the way that you feel,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have like these antiquated and toxic views of blackness, and you are a part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's not these movies, it's you.
Yeah. It's toxic masculinity is in her. And I think you're right. I think it's the fact that M'Baku was more than just a warrior in this movie. They actually gave him a role as I would say like maybe even the emotional support. Like he was the steadying thing that helped Shuri like get over her mom and ultimately do the right thing. He was there as an emotional support, and he said that T'Challa asked him like, "Take care of my people if something happens to me." I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand like how that's not a leadership role. I don't understand like how that's not strength.
Because some people think that leadership is just being a brute, and
Yeah,
it's not.
and
Like,
being
you
a
also have
narcissist.
to, exactly, you also have to be like a shoulder to cry on for your people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's really not just beating people up. Like, if that's what you think, like, I feel really sorry for you in your relationships.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if you think if leadership is basically demeaning other people, and you think that it's emasculating for somebody to be a counselor for you and be there for you emotionally, I like really feel sorry for you.
Yeah, it's giving. A man has never saw any value in having a conversation with me that does not have to do with getting smashed. It's giving. A man has never asked me my genuine opinions on things, that they've never liked me for my personality, and that they've never been a support system for me. That's what it's giving. And that is sad. Every black man that I know in my life has had vulnerable moments, has seen the value in women being strong. Like, I feel like it's a loud few, but the loud few, like, y'all are making us look so fucking bad. And I don't even agree with that. Like, not saying that they represent the community, but actually, I'll take that back. Y'all not making us look bad. You making yourselves look bad. And it's really sad that, like, so many black people are trying to educate them on the internet about how this is wrong, how this is just, like, honestly furthering generational curses, and, like, discouraging men from being vulnerable and from taking these and from letting other people lead. And it is really fucking sad. I honestly think that she's probably just doing it for attention and clout at this point.
Has to be, but and it's one thing that I also realized was, that she's not a fan of the MCU, because where was this outrage in Thor: Love and Thunder when Valkyrie goes by King of New Asgard?
Or just even in the first Black Panther, it was mostly female. Like I said earlier, the whole cast besides Chadwick, rest his soul, the whole cast came back. So it's not like they was just like, let's just turn this character into a woman now all of a sudden. They've been here.
Exactly.
Not only does it just not make sense that they're talking about, like, people are acting like just because the Black Panther is now a woman that the black men just don't have anything, like no representation, outside of the fact that most, like, a lot of characters outside of, I won't even say a lot, other superheroes outside of the MCU are black, like, we got the fucking Black Adam, and then there's, like, Static Shock, and there have been other, like, live action, like, black men in superhero roles outside of this. But also Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. He's a black man, and he's been in these movies since The Winter Soldier as a main character. Rhodey has been here since the very first MCU movie, and he's been Iron Patriot since Iron Man 2. So that's another one. He's also getting his own TV show in Armor Wars. So
I heard they're turning it into a movie.
Oh, well, even fucking better. So he's getting his own thing. Nick Fury, that black guy who is responsible for putting the Avengers together, who has been in the movie since Iron Man 2. Yeah, he's a thing. Blade, another black man, getting his own movie. We don't know when, but he's getting his own shit. Right. We also have Kang, who is the villain. He was in Loki. He's going to be the villain in Ant-Man Quantumania.
And he's about to be giving them hell.
Yes. Probably even beyond that. So, and then we also had T'Challa as Black Panther, and all of the properties that we listed earlier today. WonderMan, a black man is coming. Like, what have black women had? We've had Dora Milaje, who's our secondary to T'Challa. We've had them. We've had Monica Rambeau for 2 seconds, she's still not a main character. She was in WandaVision, and she's going to be sharing the spotlight in the Marvels. And then, okay, we finally got Riri, and she's getting her own show. But look at that list compared to what the fuck y'all have had. And guess who was not crying and complaining about representation when the black men were shining? Us. We have been here the whole time supporting y'all. So when it's our turn, how about you fucking be happy? How about that? Exactly. How about you not act like a little bitch that's just crying? Oh my God, Black Panther's not. You had him. And guess what? You can go back and watch that shit. It's still there. And if you want to do even more, you can read the comic books. There's source material. There's so many other black male superheroes. Okay? Y'all are not oppressed. Okay,
like, black men have something.
Black men really are the white people of the black race. Y'all have to fucking stop. I'm so tired of it. Because guess what? During the civil rights movement, the women and the gays was on the front lines with y'all. But when it comes to feminism, black men act like that's a fucking cuss word. Fuck y'all. Y'all ain't, a lot of y'all ain't shit. I'm not talking to the people that listen to this podcast because our audience is mostly men. And I just like, as much like misandry and male slander that goes on this podcast, you couldn't be an asshole and still listen to us. So shout out to y'all. Y'all the real ones. But y'all cousins and shit on the internet, y'all need to go get their asses together. Check them. Because it's fucking embarrassing. How do you look when you have daughters and nieces and you're pissed off that the Black Panther is a woman, talking about little black boys need a positive role model? You, nigga! Ain't you they daddy?
Exactly. Like, how about you're actually in the house with them, so how about you do that?
How about you
do a fictional character's job?
Exactly. How about you do your job and be a parent and a role model for the people that are related to you? It would be so fucking embarrassing if I was like, oh my God, I wish my daughters had a good representation of what a black woman is, and be mad that they can't turn on the TV and see that when I'm right there. Mm-hmm. Do you hear yourself? Y'all are embarrassing. Like, it's fucking sad. Like, I'm blown away by the stuff that I've been seeing on the internet. And again, I'm so happy that it's some men out there that have some fucking sense. I'm happy that my husband is one of them. But if I was married or in a relationship with some of y'all and I heard this shit, pack your bags. Get the fuck out.
Exactly.
What are we doing right now?
It's like, if that's how you feel, like, how do you actually feel about me? That's how you feel about all women.
Exactly.
Black women in particular.
And then I wanted to touch on one more thing. Because that stupid girl on TikTok compared this movie to The Woman King.
Woman King.
You fucking potato. The doors are based on the bitches that was in The Woman King. Those are real people. Exactly. So you can't say it's pushing an agenda if we're simply talking about things that actually happened in real life.
In history.
Are you dense? Actually, the answer is yes. That's not even a question. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Dora Milaje was based on the Angoli. I'm saying that wrong probably, but you can Google it, okay? Do your Googles. They were the female protectors of the West African kingdom Dami during the 17th through the 19th century. So this isn't a myth. Stan Lee and them based a lot of these comic book characters off of real people.
History.
And that's why it hit so hard. That's why it makes so much sense, because they were in their fucking bag. They was doing their research, okay? So, like, I'm confused. Y'all really need to check your internalized misogyny. You need to stop sucking off the patriarchy, because the patriarchy ain't did shit but take away your reproductive rights. Wake the fuck up. Stand up. You weak in the knees for no fucking reason. Please stand up. So, that's all I'm going to say.
I love that. I love that you just went so hard. Watching Brittany verbally drag people just warms my heart. It's like hot cocoa and Baileys on a nice cold winter day.
Look, some people just really be stupid, and I feel like for a long time I missed a lot of it because I don't be logging into Idiot Book like that. As long as I stay off there, I'll be okay. I gotta send a quick apology to our listener JC, because he had put I was triggered. You triggered my fight or flight. He basically said, like, what if we just recast or gender swapped everybody? And all the toxic men was going up on the comments, and I was just like, this better be fucking satire, because I will drag your ass from here to there too.
And Brittany texted me, and I was like, oh, I saw it, and I just thought he was just being, like, facetious. And he was. He's like, come on. Thank now, God. You know me.
Thank God.
You know me.
I was scared. I was finna say, what happened to you? Like Stanley said, if you lost your mind, I will help you find it.
I'll help you find it.
Yes, I will. And that is a thing, like, it's so crazy because, like, he wrote in a couple weeks ago and he was asking about, like, gender swapped characters, and Prince was like, you know, a lot of, like, toxic men will use that as, like, an insult. And I was like, well, I don't think that that's, you know, where he was coming from with it. He just was talking about, like, different...
A variant.
Yeah, different variants of the same character. But I know it's a lot of people will be like, oh, so since we don't have Tony Stark anymore, y'all gonna give us Riri Williams. It's a difference between a character who was inspired by another character, which she is, versus a character when it's the same exact story. The only thing that's different is their gender. This is not that.
And then too, these characters were created by white men.
Yes.
It's not like it's black women trying to push this agenda or
This shit was
anything like
already
that. Like
here.
these characters have already been created. Like Riri, oh, I didn't guess we didn't talk about that, but Riri Williams, like that character was introduced not too long ago in 2016. So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a white man, I'm pretty sure, that created that
Yeah,
character
I wouldn't be
and
surprised.
used, and Tony was her mentor
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So I don't understand how it's an agenda when it wasn't us that did it. Like we didn't. I'm sure we
Right.
didn't ask for that. Like
Exactly. And then like comic book characters have been historically white and historically male because of the times, because that's what they felt would sell. That's what, that's the way the world was. And now that things are
mhm.
changing, we've gotten more black characters, we've got more women characters, gay, trans, all of that. The progression is good. It's a good sign. It's a good thing that when my kids saw the trailer for The Little Mermaid, the thought that she was black was secondary because they have seen themselves in the media around them.
Mhm.
Y'all have to like really wake up and think about something other than yourself. Toxic black man, this is for you. It's not just about you. When one of us wins, we all win. Like
Exactly.
it's M'Baku was still in the movie. They still had elder men on the council in Wakanda.
Mhm.
They still had lots of male warriors. Even the villain was a man. Like all of the movies in Phase, like y'all are. It's not going anywhere. I just
They basically sound like
speechless.
all the Karens that are basically just like, well, why isn't this character white?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's what y'all sound like, and y'all sound stupid.
Yeah. So, oh, and then we forgot to say that at the post credit scene, Chadwick and the kid had a baby, little cute boy.
Yes,
Oh, so
so
cute,
cute,
a little
melted my heart.
T'Challa with his little dimples. Oh, he was so cute.
He was so cute, and that's basically what I meant earlier. Was that's I feel like that was their way of
Mm-hmm.
like recasting T'Challa
Mm-hmm.
by not actually recasting him. They just
Yes.
kind of let his lineage
Yes.
go, continue
Mm-hmm.
basically, and he carries his name. He's also now in line for the throne,
Yeah.
and maybe and one day we'll see him as Black Panther
By the time like the mutants come, he could be of age to be the king and to have
and
Storm as a
marry
wife.
Storm.
Y'all just
Exactly.
have to calm the fuck down,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Exactly.
So, information. I would give Black Panther Wakanda Forever 7 out of 6 Infinity Stones. I think it was fucking amazing. And I cannot wait until it hits Disney Plus. I also cannot wait until it hits 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray so I can buy it.
I would also give it a 6 out of 6. Wakanda Forever. How appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Ibambe.
Yes. As far as like ranking it against the first Black Panther movie, ooh, I don't know if I feel like
I'm not sure.
it's so good. It's so rare that you get a sequel that is like this good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even know if I could say which one is
Yeah.
better, honestly.
I can't either, honestly.
Yeah.
And I actually thought about that, and I don't know if I can, and I don't want to, and I won't.
Yeah. I also feel like this is probably like maybe at the very least top 3 of my phase 4 films. Maybe number 1. Maybe number 2. 1 or 2. One of those.
I would say 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd have to go back and look. Maybe we can re-rank them since this
Yeah.
was the last of the phase 4. Now
Yes.
now on we're in phase 5.
So our next movie is Ant-Man Quantumania and February
Mm-hmm.
next year.
Yes.
Yep. But that's it. This episode is long. It's been about 2 hours. Usually we would go into like something else after this that's non-Marvel related, but we are not gonna do that.
Okay. I was like,
That's
oh, we gonna do our other segment?
no, I think we're good here.
Cool, 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 cool. All right. Well, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are the Southside of Wakanda podcast, and this was our Black Panther Wakanda Forever discussion. As you guys know, we're currently on a little break, a little hiatus. So we will return next month to discuss the Guardians holiday special. So we will see you for that. Thank you guys so much for supporting us and listening. And also thanks for understanding. We have a lot going on.
Yeah.
I
I'm
am
sorry to our new listeners who might,
I
be
know.
excited to hear new content, but The winter
As I
time is not
mentioned,
our time.
yeah, it isn't. As I mentioned earlier, I'm 8 months pregnant. I am in the nesting phase. I am
Hmm.
finishing this semester of school. I have like 3 or 4 more weeks.
Hmm.
Brittany got shit going on.
Oh, everything. Do y'all want to hear the list?
Oh, let's do it.
Got Thanksgiving next week. My wedding anniversary is on Saturday. My family was coming to visit, but they're not now. But I still have a webinar to host for my work. And then I have a work trip 2 days later that's going to be a week long. And then there's Christmas. And then there's New Year's. And then we're going to San Diego for my child's birthday. And then a couple days after that, I will be in Vegas for another work trip and to see Shani. And then maybe after that, I can take a fucking deep breath.
And you also missed before Christmas, you have you and Prince's birthday.
Oh, right, yeah. So
Yes.
just pile
And
it
then,
on. And also, I
exactly.
have
And
two
then,
children, and I work full time, and I have a 1-year-old Great Dane puppy who is a full time job, believe it or not. So
exactly.
that's
And then
why.
I have a full, like I said earlier, full time job, school, baby on the way,
Yeah,
uh, Thanksgiving, nesting.
yeah, giving
Y'all,
birth.
my house is a disaster. I actually have to have this child at some point in the next 7 weeks.
And you have a birthday too.
And my birthday, and then I'm due right after my birthday. Yeah, it's
It's
too much.
it's a
So
lot. Yeah.
whenever we can, we will drop an episode.
Hmm.
But catch us on, we have a backlog of
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to rewatch everything and then kind of follow along, do that.
Yep.
Don't
Okay.
you forget about me.
I will remember you.
Okay. All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Right.
Bye.